Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar, where we are going to look at strategies and insights and perspectives and principles of getting a remote job. What do you need to do so that you can be able to get that remote job? Are people getting those remote jobs? Are they there? How much do they pay? Where can you look for them? And we have an expert in that area, Lorraine. But before we bring Lorraine Otieno on board, I am going to be your moderator, Richard Magoma. Richard Magoma is a trainer of very many topics, but today we are going to look at how to get jobs outside Kenya, especially those remote jobs, so that you can get out of the 8 to 5 ways of doing things. Before we start, I'll bring my colleague Hosea on board so that he can do some bit of introduction, and then he will give us some more information before we start. Hosea, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Richard. I hope I'm visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Richard. My name is Buliba Hosea, a HR professional of over 12 years. I work with Denidel. Basically, I'm the managing partner and the CEO of Denidel Consortium LLP. So I just want to take you through what we do before we can now get into the presentation. So at Denidel, we are a HR registered firm in Kenya, and also we are setting up outside Kenya. We are registered with IHRM. We offer recruitment services, career services, and also HR consultancy, and as well team building services. So we are in Kenya and also setting up in Cyprus, and of course remote. Since we are talking about remote, we also support some of our clients everywhere in Africa. Talk of Uganda, Tanzania, we also have clients there, because since 2019 and 2020, we've been shown that it is possible to do business and meet from anywhere in the world. So we are able to support. These are our key pillars in terms of what we do. So recruitment, we recruit for organizations, we conduct team building, we do trainings, HR consulting. Let's say you're setting up a business, we're able to assist you set up the HR department, and all the policies, processes, we're able to assist you with that. Then, of course, career services from CV writing, LinkedIn, revamping, career coaching, interview coaching. You could still reach out to us for that. Our value proposition, we value partnerships and quality services, as well as we bank on our quick turnaround time. Today we have Richard Magoma, who is our moderator, who is our partner at Denidel. We'll be able to share these documents with you as part of the attachments in the email. As we had mentioned, we will give you certificates. So all these documents you will have on your email. This was just a preview of who we are and what we do. So these are just some of the things we've been able to do, and we've dealt with very many clients, as you could see in the page, and we've recruited for some of them as well. So in case you're also looking for jobs that are also not just online jobs, but as well physical jobs, we could be able to assist as long as one of our clients is recruiting or through our colleagues. So I would like to welcome today's guest, because today I know all of you are waiting for the topic of the day, Beyond Borders. So searching for careers beyond borders. We have Lorraine Otieno with us today. She's the founder and career coach at Beyond the Savannah, and she has a decade of experience in human resource, both globally, remotely, and locally on site. Lorraine is the founder of Beyond the Savannah. and she does quite a bit in this area. She's a professional recruiter as well as global recruiter. She is a HR professional, and I would like to give her the opportunity to also just go ahead and tell us what she does as I welcome her today. So just let's give her a hand clap or just the emojis, if you could do that. Just welcome her. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. So welcome, Lorraine and Richard. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Hosea, for that wonderful introduction about Daniel and our guest speaker, Lorraine. Lorraine, how are you doing? You love smiling, but today we want to extract wisdom. We want to extract wisdom. We want to extract every juice you have so that we can be able, if we can be able to progress in terms of career and other things that are important in life, especially career. Welcome, Lorraine. You can drop in anything that we have left because this is an occasion also for branding.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. And yes, I do love smiling. I am a joyous person and I love being in HR because then I can spread kindness wherever I'm at. Let me just pull my deck. Or are we not starting now?
Yeah.
Richard?
Yeah.
We're starting?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. And I expect questions. So I expect you guys to milk, the wisdom as Hosea puts it. Awesome. So maybe I can start with why we do what we do at Beyond the Savannah or BTS. We are very passionate about remote work, particularly showcasing remote work to the African youth. Even if you're not a youth, don't get scared or don't get taken aback. We are passionate about promoting remote work to the African youth, and on top of that, we're passionate about making the African candidate ready for these remote opportunities because they're there. What we should expect from the hour that you're going to be spending together is that by the end of this, I expect that you get to have an understanding of the basics of remote work. I also expect that you will know what it takes to work remotely, how to position yourself for these remote opportunities, and hopefully get on starting your journey to landing a remote opportunity. So what I'd want to add onto the amazing introduction that both Hosea and Richard gave me is that I've been in this field for 10 years. This is actually my 10th year. And in that time, I have worked both locally and globally. Locally, I've worked for Mapati Rolling Mills, where I started my journey as a HR graduate trainee, gradually rose to the ranks and, to becoming a HR talent manager. And after 6 years of my time with Mapati Rolling Mills, I thought it was, kind of time for me to do something else. I wanted to see what was in the market then. That was 2021, if I remember correctly. And I remember one night I'm scrolling through TikTok. That was when, pandemic had we were kind of safe then. So I go onto TikTok, I'm scrolling, some Latin lady comes onto my For You page, and she's talking about how she's able to work for an American company while she's in Mexico, and she's earning in foreign currency. And, I save it. For those of us who are TikTokers, I save it. And the next day, because I was actually applying to opportunities, I sent in my application the next day at work. Long story short, 2 weeks later, I'm invited for an interview. We go through an in-depth interview process, 5 stages, yeah? And eventually I landed the job with Superside as a people care specialist and DEI specialist. 6 months in, I'm promoted to be a senior people care specialist, which is like the equivalent of HRBP. 2.5 years with them. Now I'm here promoting remote work to the African youth. The reasons why we actually started this is because whilst I was with Superside, we wanted to increase, like, diversity score is a huge thing. So we wanted to increase their number of people of color, employees or workforce that we had, and we couldn't really get good candidates. So then it dawned on me that either one, people don't know that these remote opportunities are actually available, or two, they don't know that it's actually attainable. So that's why we do what we do as BTS, Beyond the Savannah. Awesome. So shall we get started? Give me a thumbs up. I think I'm able to see emojis go up. Awesome. So let's start. Let's start from the beginning, right? Because it's good to understand the history of something before you actually decide you want to embark on it. And I'm glad that a majority of us are actually currently working and making an assumption. So we're going to see why that is important. So for us to understand what we mean by remote work is basically, how I like to explain it, is that you work your 9 to 5, but you get to work from anywhere in the world, because the beauty with remote companies is that they don't care whether you're working from the beach, you're working from your bed, you're working from your cafe, as long as you meet your deliverables. And in 2010, we saw the proliferation of collaboration tools such as Slack, Loom, Zoom, which significantly boosted the collaboration that we see now happening, and that is possible when you're working remotely. And because many companies are already offering, flexible working arrangements, and they're able to recognize the benefits of having that, and it actually increases, not just customer, it increases employee satisfaction as well as productivity. Come 2020, we all experienced COVID-19, and then we have this massive shift on how we now think about work, and people are able to work from home, but not just working from home, they're able to be productive while working from home. So then we see a number of companies starting, to think about what are the benefits of me having a distributed team. You get to have diversity in thought, you get to have some richness to your company, and that is something that customers actually appreciate. So now we're seeing a lot more companies getting into this whole remote work vibe. And when it started, granted, it was more about technical, the people in the technical field. It was more about the product designers, the software engineers who are able to work remotely. But now it has completely shifted, and you're going to see it in a few. Yeah. And as at 2023, what you're seeing is that up to 16% of companies globally are actually operating remotely. That means they don't have no office space, they don't have no building, they don't have no assets. The number one assets are their employees, right? And we see how that then shifts the perspective in how they start to value employees and some of the benefits that are associated with someone working remotely. Most of these companies, however, are actually based in the Americas, in Asia time zones, as well as Europe and Australia. We are all now starting to see companies in the African continent starting to work remotely. The other day, I think there's this remote company that deals with SACCO. They have automated the whole SACCO system. You can now access your statement virtually. Those are now some of the companies that we're now seeing in the African continent starting to embrace remote work. And it is expected that come 2030, 30% of the global workforce, because there is such a demand, 30% of the global workforce will be working remotely. And that is, regardless of whether Meta is recalling people back to the office or not. And the other thing that we see is that because remote work is relatively a new concept, the number of people, or the age gap that we see people working remotely in terms of our talent workforce is people aged between 25 to 34. That is not to say if you don't fall within that age gap or age bracket, then you cannot work remotely. It simply means that you can only fish from the pond that we have, right? So us as recruiters, the majority of applications that we're seeing coming in are aged between 25 to 34. So those are the people that are actually getting hired. And there is a clear difference between, someone working full-time, or the roles that you're going to be finding, or the opportunities rather that you're going to be finding on a platform such as Beyond the Savannah, versus what you're going to be finding on Upwork, or even Indeed, or even FlexJobs, which is something that I want us to, delve deeper into in the next slides. So then let's take a look at some of the differences. Why is it that there's such a huge shift, from gig economy, online jobs, the writing jobs, the transcription jobs, versus the roles that you're going to find on Beyond the Savannah. So when you go onto our website, like I said, when you're working remotely, and this I mean full-time remotely, you're working for one company. So chances are you're going to be working, it's a 9 to 5, on that there is no commute, really. So you're working for one company, you are assured of your salary by the end of each month. There is some sense of community and mission because you're all working towards the same objective. And then you get to enjoy benefits that are associated with you having been employed. When you look at the other end of that, and that is, the roles are going to be finding, let's say, on Upwork. The payment is based upon completion of projects, right? And then because you're working part-time, you're also capable of working for multiple companies as opposed to working for one particular company. Then there is no sense of community in the sense that it is project-based. So once you're done with the project, you get done with that, you move on to the next. And then when you're now talking about benefits, you're not eligible because again, it is project-based. One thing that is common between the two, whether you're working full-time remotely or you're working part-time as a gig, is that you're all going to be hired as independent contractors. They rarely hire full-time employees. And when I say full-time, I mean, in Kenyan terms, permanent and pensionable, yeah? You're all going to be hired as independent contractors. And what that essentially means is that when it now comes to litigation, you see all these benefits that you get to enjoy when it comes to like you getting terminated. Yes, they might have policies and they might have procedures in place for, let's say, like performance management, for they give you, let's say, like a 1 month leave-in notice when your role is terminated. However, you do not have, in terms of litigation, that is, you do not enjoy the benefits of being a full-time employee. That is the only thing that is common between the two. And I'd like to ask, do we have any questions up to that point, or are we good?
We do not have any question. We can proceed.
Okay. Cool. So what are some of the benefits that you get to enjoy when you're working remotely? Number one is that you get to join the global talent pool. And there is the kind of exposure that you get to enjoy when you're working when you're working with a distributed team is just on another level. So that is when you get to enjoy, being part of the global talent pool. Two is that the focus is more on employee well-being, especially now that they are heavily invested in mental health. There are support systems for remote employees. There you get to enjoy benefits such as gym membership. Some even get like sabbaticals. Some companies will offer Jacqueline. Some companies will offer, cooking classes or anything that really, tickles your fancy. So you get to enjoy a stipend that you can use, whether it is for a spa or there are medical insurance that some companies will offer. Then one thing that I love about working remotely is that you get to enjoy flexible working hours, and then there is a lot of emphasis on work-life balance or work-life integration. Reason being, like I mentioned when I started, is that because they don't have any other assets apart from you as the employee. So it is paramount, it's actually in their best interest to ensure that you as an employee, you're taken care of and that you're serving their customers from a point of satisfaction. So if you are unhappy, you're going to cost the money. Hence the reason as to why work-life balance and integration is such an important pillar for them. Then when you're working remotely, of course, now that there's no commute, you actually get to save some coin. Chances are you're going to be earning in foreign currency. Should you choose to earn in your local currency in Kenya shillings, that is fine. But yeah, there is the option of you getting paid in foreign currency. And then it does increase productivity. I know some of the questions that I usually get is that, oh, Lorraine, remote work is so easy that, you just you don't work per se, right? You just sit and you lounge, which is absolutely false. I have never worked so much in my life than when I was working remotely. So it actually does increase your productivity. And we've seen like there is a lot of employee, satisfaction and retention. And in general, these companies know that, they do enjoy business continuity and resilience. To answer Jacqueline's question, there is actually no age limit. And this is one of the reasons as to why I love remote work. Due to the fact that they have already, due to the fact that they've implemented DEI blind hiring practices. There are no age limits. What they're focused more on is your capabilities, your skills and capabilities, and your experience. Technically, what it is that you bring to the table. That is the thing that they're focused on. Yeah, and when I'm talking about DEI blind hiring practices, is that in the system that they're using, the ATS system that they're using, one, they don't get to see your name, they don't get to see your location, which you shouldn't actually have on your CV. And yeah, so really what they're only seeing is your work experience and your technical skills and your education. Yeah. Awesome. So like I hinted when we started that, when remote work started, it was more about, people in the tech space. And this is how I like to kind of explain this. If you are a founder or, you are running a startup, the first order of business is to get your product or service up there. So you're going to bring on board, your product engineers, you're going to bring on board your software engineers, your cloud computers to help you actually develop, your product and service. Then the next order of business is that you're going to now start to put the product or service to the market. So you're going to bring on board, your marketers, your salespeople. Once they've brought on board customers, or once they've signed customers, now you think, I need people to take care of my customers. So then you bring on board customer service professionals. Later on, you think, I need people to take care of my people. So you have your accountants, you've got your HR professionals. Then down the line, you're thinking, why don't I even have a procurement SOP? So, you bring on board people in the procurement office. So when you look at just the natural life or natural formation of a company, from being a startup, how it evolves from being a startup to being now like an SME or, a middle enterprise, then you see that, yes, granted, there are a lot of opportunities in the tech space. However, there are also a lot of opportunities in the supporting functions, right? As a matter of fact, in 2022, the most sought after role or the most recruited role was accounting or finance. Yeah. So I always like to put it this way: if you can work with your laptop, regardless of the paperwork. I know in HR we are more about paperwork and whatnot. So regardless of the paperwork, of filing, if you can work with your laptop in a quiet space, with the laptop, Wi-Fi, quiet space, then you can work remotely. Yeah, we're even seeing just recently, as of literally last year, there is a surge in the health industry. So now we even have companies in the health industries. Now we have doctors, we've got nurses, we've got therapists working remotely. So if we were to talk about remote jobs without covering time zones, then I feel like we wouldn't have actually covered the entire topic of remote work. So time zones is super important because aside from just our website, beyondthesavannah.co.ke, when you go into other remote sites, right, such as remotive.com or even JobGather, you're going to find a bunch of opportunities or vacancies at the moment, and you're going to see time zones. So what are these time zones? Now, in the remote ecosystem, time zones have been classified loosely into 5. One is the Americas, and this is basically North America. So countries in the US, countries such as Mexico, Cuba, and then you have APAC, which is like Asian Pacific. That is countries such as India, Samoa, etc. Then you've got LATAM, which is basically South American countries. So we've got countries such as Brazil, Colombia, Chile. Then you've got EMEA, which is where a majority of us are. So that is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Then we even have MENA, which is Middle East and North Africa. That is now another time zone that has been added. And then we've got worldwide or global. So what I always tell my people is that if you're in the African continent, there is absolutely no reason for you to be applying to opportunities in Americas, in APAC, in LATAM, because due to your geographical location, you are automatically disqualified, regardless of whether it says New York remote, regardless of whether it says Brazil remote. You are automatically disqualified. What that essentially means that they're looking for someone in that particular country to be working there, but remotely, right? So I advise my clients, focus more on EMEA, which is where we are at, focus more on worldwide, focus more on global. And should you go through, let's say, a role that has Ontario remote, but in the job description they've actually stated that they are open to hiring candidates across the globe, then that you can give it a shot. But otherwise, let's not waste our time. We're not qualified to be working in the Americas, APAC, and Latin time zones. As a matter of fact, when they're hiring from all these time zones, the ideal scenario is that they want to be offering their clients 24/7 support. So when they're hiring you from Kenya, they know that they're hiring you from Kenya. They want you to work during a day, unless otherwise stated, and they will state in the job advert that this role has an overlap or 4 hours overlap with PST or CST, right? So ideally they want you to be working during your day. So I think we've covered this, but we can I can go a little bit deeper on what I mean by this, because some people get scammed with this. So what do you need to work remotely? Like I mentioned, 3, there's a question, what does global mean? Global technically means that they are hiring people across the globe, right? So distributed teams, that's what exactly it means. They're open to hiring anyone from anywhere, Okay, cool. So what do you need to work remotely? Once again, a working laptop. Now, some companies will be very specific. A company like Invisible Technologies or Coalition Technologies will be very specific about the specs of the computer, but majority of the companies will just want you to have a working computer. I say, to be safe, have a laptop that is iCore 5 and above. 2, you need stable internet or Wi-Fi. There's no way you can work remotely just by hotspotting. So just get yourself Wi-Fi, which I believe most people have these days. And if there is, like with the way KPLC has been doing us a number of times, there is, I think it's called like e-power or something. Just get yourself that, or get yourself solar or something else. But the thing is that even when I was working, right? Because we used to work with a number of South Africans, and over there is load shedding that happens a lot. But then there's the concept that if you're not going to be available, then when you are available, make sure that your work is seen. So it is no pressure, right? You don't have to. They do understand that where you are at. When you're experiencing power outages, it's completely out of your control. However, when you do have power, you have to be a performer. You really need to be an A+ student. Then 3, of course, have yourself an office workspace. Make sure it is quiet, because you're going to be spending more than 8 hours in that space. Do we have any questions up to that point, or we're good to go?
I think we have in the chat.
Okay. And I can see, Jeff, do you have a question, or is that a good to go? Let me see.
Yes, I wanted to ask, is 8 hours the minimum or the average working hours while working remotely?
That's a really good question. Remember how I talked about flexible working hours as one of the benefits of working remotely? There are days, and this is me being very honest, there are days that you're going to be working 6 hours. And there are days that are going to be working 12, 15 hours. It is all based on your deliverables, right? No one is going to be seated time tracking your laptop. No one is going to be seated, overlooking your shoulder. But it is dependent on your deliverables. That is what informs how many hours you're going to be working. So there's no 8 hours per se as a minimum or a maximum. It is when you finish your deliverables and they're very clear about that, then you're good to go. Yeah. But I feel like I need to put a caveat to this, because there are people, out there telling other people that you're going to come work remotely, and then you're going to work 4 hours and you're going to be able to earn $3,000, $4,000 an hour, which is a huge lie. How I like to put it is that to whom much is given, much is expected. These companies are coming to hire you, and they're going to be paying you 3 or 4 times what you're earning locally, your local rate, right? Then on top of that, you get to work from literally anywhere. No one is time tracking you. No one really cares how many hours you've taken for lunch. No one cares that, you've taken a dash to the dentist and then you're going to come back after 4 hours, right? So to whom much is given, much is expected. Peter, how many days a week are you required to work? Normally, it is 5 days a week, right? But then again, it is dependent on your deliverables. I used to work 15 hours a day, but then I used to work 4 days a week because that was the work arrangement that I had with my manager then. Please say the recommended time zones for Kenyans again. Edwina, that is Europe, EMEA, that is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. There is MENA, we can give it a shot as well. And then you also want to focus on global and worldwide. Avoid Latin America's APAC. Yeah, I think there was another question in the chat. Is there overtime, Peter? No. There's no overtime. I don't want to lie. There's no overtime. What about part-time work, Monica? Not many companies are going to want to, or rather, let me put it this way, you're not going to find many part-time roles, I'll be honest with you. And if by part-time you mean, you work 4 hours in a day, they're barely there. If by part-time you mean you work from, let's say, 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Kenyan time, then now those you want to focus more on PST, CST, fully remote roles. Yeah, those are there, but again, not that many. Yeah. Cool. Shall we continue? Thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay. Your statement, there are people giving false information. How do we tell authentic people stroke employers? We're going to tackle that in a bit, Lucy. Cool. So let's talk about what skills you need for you to be able to work remotely. Ideally, how I like to answer this question is there are, of course, industry-specific skills, right? So, for example, in HR, I would want to see a skill such as are you skilled in DEI? Are you skilled in coaching? Are you, talent pipelining, employee engagement, things of the sort? In accounting, I'd want to see things of this in the lines of accounts payable, accounts receivables, general ledger, month-end closing. If it's someone in customer service, I'd want to see things like customer retention, customer renewals, account expansion, account management. So those are like industry-specific skills. However, generally, right, when you're working remotely, you need to work on these skills. One is your communication skills. English is the universal language, and I like to say that it's not, fortunately or unfortunately, it is not the measure of success, or intelligence, that is. However, it is, the universally accepted official language. So that is the language that is used in the remote setting, and you need to work on your communication skills. That is both written and oral. That needs to be clear, it needs to be concise. If you want to have a habit of just checking the job adverts, particularly the remote adverts, you will see communication skills, written communication skills never misses. The other thing that you need to have is presentation skills. And why presentation skills? Because you're going to find yourself in meetings with CFOs, with CTOs, or just meetings that you're presenting like this, right? And you're presenting your ideas or presenting your solutions. So you need to have excellent presentation skills. Then whatever idea or solution you bring forth needs to be backed by data. So you need to know how to first understand data, make sense of that data, and then come up with data-driven decisions. So if there's anyone on here who hasn't done even an introduction course to data analytics, please go ahead and do it, because it's really going to help you make sense of all these numbers. Then you need to be well acquainted with communication tools such as Slack, such as Zoom, such as Loom, which is a video tool as well, and then just basic email etiquette, because most of the time you're going to be working asynchronous. And when I say asynchronous working style, I mean is that you're going to be less and less in calls and, of course, face-to-face meetings. And it's going to be more written communication. So it is how you're communicating, how you're expressing yourself also matters a lot, because you need to bear in mind that the person at the other end is going to be receiving it with their mood and how they perceived it. So one tip that you're always given is that you use a lot of emojis, right? So make sure that you are communicating emotions in your written stuff. Yeah, so that is one, communication skills. Two is time management skills, because like I mentioned, no one is overlooking your shoulder. Yeah, there is no time tracking. There is no micromanagement. There is no over supervision, right? So it is you working on your deliverables, and they expect that because you are a self-starter and they like to hire a type A personality, they're not going to be checking in on you. So where are we on this? Where are we on that? One tip that I use is that I use a planner, which actually helps. And if there's anyone who's a procrastinator, like I know, I'm a procrastinator. So that's why I use tools such as Asana, which are like project management tools and planning tools. They really help you keeping track of what it is that you're expected to deliver and how long how long you've got left. So if there's anyone here you want to take a look at Asana, Trello, ClickUp, Monday.com, all those are project management tools, really awesome. Three is that you need to be tech savvy. So you need to be familiar with remote work tools and softwares such as Google Workspace, Microsoft Space, Apple Space, together with the tools and softwares I've just mentioned in bullet 1 and 2. And yeah, you also need to be very familiar with the software or system that is industry specific. For example, in HR, if you've used SAP, if you've used Bamboo HR, if you've used Lever, then you're good to go. In finance, if you're familiar with QuickBooks, you're familiar with any finance software, QuickBooks, Xero, NetSuite, you're good to go. If you're in customer service, any CRM, Zendesk, HubSpot, Zoho, you're good to go. In marketing, MailChimp. So just technically look at the industry that I'm in. Is there any tool and software that is currently being used, right? Regardless of whether your current company is using that or not, then just get familiar with it. And when I'm saying get familiar with it is that I want you to understand the look and feel. Even if you haven't interacted with, let's say, Bamboo HR, I want you to understand the look and feel of how Bamboo HR looks like. What are its functionalities? What are its capabilities? What are its limitations? Get to have that theoretical understanding of what these softwares can and cannot do. The fourth one is cross-cultural awareness. And why this is super important is because you're, like I've mentioned severally, the culture you're going to find in a remote setting is that you're going to interact with people from across the globe, literally. And one thing that I always like to say is that you might think that us as Kenyans, we are different, but in the global context, we are actually kind of all the same. Like East Africans, we've got like similar mannerisms, right? So whether it is how we communicate, how we perceive feedback, how we receive feedback, how we give feedback, our kind of leadership style that, we gravitate towards are kind of similar, yeah? Versus when you compare us to people in the Latin time zone or the Americas or even APAC. Case in point, this is actually such a big part that fails us as African candidates because our competition is global. And for some reason or the other, we can blame this on colonization and have just how we've been socialized, is that we tend to appear. Our nature is that we don't like to ask questions unless we are given the spotlight, right? We wait, we don't interject, we wait for you to finish, then we can speak.
Actually, related with at Jomo Kenyatta University, and that thing came up, the one that you've just mentioned. Yes,
yeah.
That we are reserved, we don't challenge propositions that have been given, we don't challenge insights. A friend of mine left Kenya to go and work in the UK and said, oh, the mode of teaching in these places is totally different from what we do. Yeah, that is a good point to note.
Yeah, and because our competition is global. So imagine this, I am the recruiter. I've got a Kenyan candidate, I've got a Latin candidate, and then I've got an Americas candidate. You're very quiet. So the Kenyan candidate is very quiet, is very reserved, doesn't ask questions and whatnot. You appear as timid, you appear as shy. Then your competition is one person who is very loud, wears their hats on the sleeves. They say what it is that they're thinking. Same with the Americas candidate. So then we tend to perform very poorly in interviews, not because we cannot do the job, but because we're not presenting in the manner that, is favorable for us to be working remotely. So one thing that we always work on with our clients is just to, I will tell you this, it is absolutely nerve-wracking and uncomfortable for someone to tell you that, show your personality a little bit, especially, how we've been socialized that, for you to be professional, you need to be so serious, right? But the truth of the matter is that is not going to cut it in the remote setting. They want to know who is Richard. Who is this individual that you're hiring? Aside from just your skills and capabilities, because at the end of the day, those can be taught. They want to hire the individual behind the skills and capabilities that you bring to the table. So that is a really key skill that, if we can start working on it now, it will be really, really good. And again, we need to understand the cultural sensitivity. The reason as to why having cross-cultural awareness is a key skill to have, is that there are cultural, sensitivities. Like I said, how we receive feedback is very different. In Kenya, we like to, go about it the sandwich method, where I start with a positive, then the criticism, then I'll close by another positive. If you're to work with a German manager or a German employee, when they're giving you feedback, they're very direct with it. It might come off as rude, but then we need to understand that, different people perceive time, something as a simple concept as time, very differently, right? And once we understand the cultural sensitivities, then you're able to collaborate with different stakeholders even better. Number 5 skill that we all need to have is being adaptable and being agile, because the only constant in a remote work environment is change. If you're not able to quickly and swiftly move with change, or move with the changes that are being brought on board, you're going to lag behind and they wouldn't want to move forward with you. So that is one skill that you also need to learn. One tip that I always give my clients is that start enrolling in short courses. Have that one self-discipline, and then when you're doing short courses, it kind of opens up your mind, because these are things that if you did, let's say, your degree 5 years ago, I did my master's 5 years back. Things have changed, but when I'm doing the short courses and when I'm benchmarking, it kind of opens up my mind to what is happening now, right? Do we have any questions up to that point? Oh, you're good to go.
We can proceed.
Okay.
I think we have one question.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, in the chat.
Okay.
Beverly.
How can one develop cultural awareness? That's a really good question, Beverly. One tip that I have is that if, in a day-to-day, you're not able to, you're not privileged to have to enjoy such benefits, then go onto LinkedIn, and I hope everyone here has a LinkedIn profile. Go into LinkedIn, attend webinars. And they do offer some free webinars. So just attend webinars, be in that space, and when you're in that space, get into the habit of learning and just observing, right? You don't have to comment or, for the very first few webinars, just sit there and observe and learn and see how people are different from us. Yeah. Cool. So we continue, yeah? What do you need to land a remote job? I guess that is the $1 million question. And I can sum this up in 3. Out of the thousands and thousands of job adverts that we've gone through, I have never come across a job advert that just needs a CV. And not a CV, you need to have an ATS-friendly CV. Why ATS? Because ATS in full is applicant tracking system. So this is the system that is used by remote companies for shortlisting. Yeah, and the reasons why they use it for shortlisting is because it promotes fairness, it's quick. Like I said, they've implemented blind hiring practices on there as well. So it's quicker for them to use a system. So your CV needs to be ATS friendly so that it can bypass the system so as it can land a recruiter's desk. Yeah, your CV, the first hurdle the CV is gonna face is the ATS. So your CV needs to be ATS friendly. 2, you need a LinkedIn profile, but you also need it to be optimized. The reason as to why you need your LinkedIn profile to be optimized is because when your CV lands on a recruiter's desk, yeah, because your CV is meant to be very brief, and you pique their interest. They want to go and see, so who is Jose? Who is Richard? Right? Like we've rightfully established that they want to see the person behind the skills and capabilities. So they're going to check you out on LinkedIn. And I always say, if your CV and your LinkedIn are not twins, if they're cousins, then that is a red flag. And again, remember, these people have options because the competition is global. So anything that speaks red flag, you're going to get an automatic reject. Yeah. So you need to have an optimized LinkedIn profile. The other reasons why you need one is because when they are headhunting, let's say they're looking for a HRPP, the first place they're going to come to is not beyond the savannah. As a recruitment agency, they're going to go to LinkedIn first to try and see, what can they get from the LinkedIn pool? So if you don't have an optimized LinkedIn profile, then you miss out on 1, getting shortlisted, 2, getting headhunted by these recruiters. Then 3, the third thing that you need is an introductory video or audio in some companies. And technically they use this for shortlisting. It should be really super duper short, 2 minutes, and you just selling yourself. So you need all these 3 things: CV, HS-friendly CV, optimized LinkedIn profile, and an introductory video.
You can comment on, I like calling them that people have learned which they have not planted. You get somebody that has a LinkedIn. Yes, it has been optimized, but it has not been visited for the last several months. Comment on that.
I know we've got people having LinkedIn profiles and then treating them like their Facebook accounts. Yeah. So how I like to explain that is, at the end of the day, LinkedIn is still a social media platform with its own algorithm. So for LinkedIn's algorithm to love you, right? For it to be able to pop up, for your profile to be able to pop up, you need to stay active on LinkedIn. So you want to create original content at least once a month. Post something, yeah. Post your perspective on the field that you're in. That is one. Two, you want to go ahead and like and engage with other people's posts and profiles, right? So like, comment. I know if someone is here and they're not comfortable with social media, I truly apologize, but that is the reality, right? So like, comment, do a repost. In short, you cannot have a LinkedIn profile and just have it dormant. You need to stay active. Put this into perspective. We are 1 billion subscribers of LinkedIn globally. So you need to do extra. You need to do, extra things for you to be able to stand out from the entire crowd. So yeah, if you've never made a post, if you've got 0 followers, the sweet spot for LinkedIn is 500 connections. So just go ahead and connect with people in your field. And if you wanted to take it like a notch higher, what I advise my clients is that type in remote HR officers or remote customer experience specialists, and then just connect with people. You'd be shocked how many people just, will accept your connects. So yeah, let's all be active on LinkedIn. It's not enough to just have an optimized LinkedIn profile. Yeah. Cool. Now, I think it's also good to give you guys the full picture, right? Because it is not all roses without thorns. So there are a few challenges that, one can experience when they're working remotely, and it's good to bring this one right now. Internet, especially if you're in the African continent, yeah, you can experience internet connectivity, especially when there is inconsistent internet speed and whatnot. How I advise that you navigate this, because remember at the beginning or somewhere in the middle, I said that they are aware when they're hiring you from Kenya, and they know for sure some of the challenges that we are experiencing are not of our own doing. So whenever you are experiencing outages or unstable internet connections, you're not able to work at the moment, one is please always inform your supervisor, or two, just have like on Slack, which is a communications tool, have their out of office, and then when you're back, work make up for the lost hours. Yeah. Two is that there is of course a time zone difference, because like I mentioned, there is APAC, EMEA, etc., etc. One tool that I like to use is Time Buddy, and it's amazing. You put in your location, Nairobi, and then you put in the other person's location, and you can see the different times that you are in. And this actually helps when when you're setting up meetings, when you're managing your calendar, because again, you don't want to be communicating, or you're expecting feedback from someone who is asleep, but then you didn't know that it is their 8 p.m. or whatever time. Yeah, and we've actually seen a number of our clients who, because they're going to send you, especially when you're shortlisted, you're going to be sent their calendar for you to pick a date. Yeah. Case in point, one of our clients she's in Uganda, so she picked a time 11 a.m. and she thought it was 11 a.m. Ugandan time, only to find out that it was 11 a.m. Mexico time, which meant it was her 11 p.m. So just use Time Buddy to avoid all that confusion. Then, like I mentioned, when you're talking about communication, that there are cultural barriers and whatnot. So, we want to know email etiquette when using color red in the Chinese culture is highly offensive. When you're using block letters, what does that mean? So to understand that, or just to mitigate that, use emojis. Thank God for emojis. It kind of communicates emotion, and it helps you avoid a lot of misunderstandings and increases collaboration. Then there is the feeling of isolation which, you know, at the end of the day, we're humans and we all love to connect. Yes, the virtual connection is amazing. So once you land yourself a remote job, you know, take your time and just go on work dates, work from the cafe, and just get like mental health breaks. Yeah. Up to that point, do we have any question? No?
There are a couple of questions here. How
Okay.
can one make their CV ITS friendly? The other one is normally when you apply for positions, you have to rework your CV. Oh, that is a comment. Does this mean you have to also edit your profile as well when you want
Okay.
to?
So one, how to make your CV ATS friendly? That is a service that we offer as BTS. But this is what I can say, right? What should not be on your CV to make sure that it is ATS friendly? First, I don't want to see a picture on your CV. Two, you know, unnecessary information such as your ID, your marital status, your postal office, how many kids you have, reasons for you leaving, you know, one job to the other. Those are all unnecessary. As a matter of fact, I actually don't even want to see your primary education as well as your secondary education. So just have your diplomas, your certificates, your masters, your PhDs, etc. The other thing that you need to work on, you know, we talked about the importance of being adaptable and agile. So if you're lucky enough that your company does, you know, short trainings and short courses, you also want to have a certifications part there, and just make sure that, you know, you've highlighted that. And to the person who said that, do you have to edit your CV every single time? When we work on your CV, you don't have to, right? Because if, let's say, you are in HR and you are looking for like a talent acquisition role, you can add all the, you know, technical skills that are expected. Like a talent acquisition, a recruiter is going to be a recruiter regardless of the field that they're in, right? A HR manager is going to be a HR manager regardless of the field, same with an accountant. So you can have, you know, these technical skills, all of them on your CV, so that you don't have to edit with each and every job. Yeah. Well, then another question, I think. Oh, Brenda Mohoho, emojis, how do you navigate misrepresentation? Google. Research. Just, yeah, Google research. Yeah. Right. Of course, you don't want to, you know, use the other emojis. Just stick to that simple emoji, like a smiley face. Yeah, with teeth out or without teeth out, things of the sort. Yeah, just keep it simple. Yeah. How much do I charge? I think, Vivian, thank you for the question, but you can visit our website, beyondthesavannah.co.ke, or send me a DM, Beyond the Savannah, on all our social media platforms. And then, yeah, we can talk more about that. Do we have another question, or shall we proceed?
Let's proceed.
Okay, cool. So how do we then help you, you know, get ready as BTS for these remote opportunities? We do have services such as ATS, converting a CV to be ATS. We work on your LinkedIn, we work on introductory video, on a consultation calls, we've got coaching sessions, we've got master classes, interview preps, and so on and so forth. All this information is on our website, again, beyondthesavannah.co.ke. This right here. Yeah, so let's talk about, there's someone who actually asked a question, how do we tell legit from scammers, right? So let's talk about some of the job sites that, you know, you can find these opportunities. One is, of course, our very own beyondthesavannah.co.ke. The reason why I want you all to just check out our website is because we have already filtered the roles on our website. So if you're on our website, any role that you see, you are qualified for based off of your geographical location, if you're in Africa, right? The other website that, you know, you can check out is remote.com. We've got Remotive as well, and jobgather.com. For the last three websites, remember, you have to use time zones. So make sure you're using EMEA, MENA, global, worldwide, yeah? And as I said, whenever there's anything good, definitely there are scammers around the corner. So what you want to do, or how then can you identify a scam job, is one, if there's spelling mistakes on the job advert, there is a possible red flag. Yeah. If you're hired on the spot, huge red flag, right? Your competition is double. There's no way you're going to get hired on the spot. As a matter of fact, the application process is lengthy. You go through hoops. You go through like 5 levels of interviews just before you actually get hired. If you're asked for money for, let's say, they want to send you a laptop, they want to send you equipment, or training, that is a red flag. If there are no face-to-face interviews, it's just either email, or when they're on a call with you in an interview, there's no face-to-face, you can't see their faces, no video on, that is a possible red flag. For the people who get hired on LinkedIn, they're told, I want to meet you in the next 20 minutes. Again, that is a red flag, right? If you're offered shares or stock other than salary, that is another red flag. I do not advocate for people to use LinkedIn as a job search site for remote opportunities. However, what I do recommend is that you use LinkedIn to verify whether the company exists or not. You can actually go a step further by using LinkedIn to just connect with the people who are in that company and try to ascertain what is the company culture there before you jump, from your on-site job to a fully remote job. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that is it. One other thing that I want to mention is that on your CV, when you're talking about our ATS-friendly CV, we still see CVs coming back we still see CVs with like 6 pages long, yet you've got 5 years of experience. We see, 10 pages long. On average, a recruiter spends 6 seconds going through a CV. So you want to make sure that, you use your 6 seconds of fame very wisely. Make sure that whatever it is that you grab the recruiter's attention by showing them what it is that you bring to the table, in terms of your skills and capabilities. So rule of thumb is that if you've got 5 years of experience or less, your CV should be 1 page. If you've got between 5 to 10 years of experience, 2 pages maximum. If you've got anything above 10 years of experience, 3 pages maximum. Do you've got questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Talk about design.
The design. So you want to avoid having columns on your CV because, again, the ATS reads horizontally. So whenever you've got any columns, it kind of confuses the system. 2, we still see people having the books that they've read on their CVs. That is absolutely, again, unnecessary information. As a recruiter, I don't care whether they've read Atomic Habits or not, so please remove that. What else do we see? We see charts. I know. We see charts. We see graphs on CVs. Absolutely remove it. Your CV should be, think of it this way, it should be very simple. It should be very direct. If I'm spending 6 seconds, 6 seconds is literally, this is your CV. I'm literally skimming through 6 seconds before I decide I want to move on with you or not. So make sure that you're helping me, helping me find what it is that I'm looking for in terms of your skills and capabilities.
Very, very good, very good. Let us appreciate Lorraine, that very energetic, very enthusiastic, very informative, using your emojis. Hopefully you don't use an offensive emoji. We've been told that we have got to be very
Careful about that.
Besides your social media office, as it were, where can we find you?
In terms of physical office? Oh, we are a fully remote company as well. Yes, you're a fully remote company. We are a team of 7 and we all work remotely. Yes. So you're going to find us on social media. Wouldn't it be ironical if you're doing remote work and then you're the ones there at the physical office? We conduct all our meetings, all our consultations virtually. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a question, Lorraine.
Yes.
About language, in terms of a pair between English and this, maybe Russian and English. Like in my experience, you find in Cyprus, most companies would want either Greek English, English Russian, or English Spain. So how would you go about it? Would you showing that you've already started learning that new language give you an edge, basically?
It would, right? And it would if they've stated that they're open to hiring from across the globe. One. Two, if they've stated that they can help you with your work visa, or that this role, supports in relocation. But if you're going to be working from Kenya and you're going to be working for a company in Cyprus, then it's neither here nor there. I mean, it's a plus for you to have it, but it's neither here nor there. Yeah.
The other question I could want to ask: what are the commonest short courses that people will undertake? So
okay,
that
cool. So I've got two. The others are very department specific. Yeah, and anyone who's interested can send me a DM on Instagram or anywhere else, or even LinkedIn. Yeah, I've got two. Everyone here should do a data analytics course. That is one. Two, AI essentials. Like I said, data analytics, because you need to, the order of the business in the remote setting is data-driven decisions. Whatever recommendation you bring on board has to be backed by data. That is one. AI, why is AI important? Is because, yes, it's the buzzword. And if there is any place that, is always moving with the pace of work, it is remote work. So if you don't know how to capitalize on AI to make your work more efficient, faster, then you need to start doing that. Yeah. Awesome. We've got other questions on the chat.
There is a question. One has come from Peter. For finance and accounting jobs, how important is CPA certification?
Absolutely, 100%. They always, actually for finance, and finance are always being had for. So they need you to have a degree or a diploma in finance, accounting, or another related degree. That is one. Two, they need you to have experience with any finance software. So that's what I was talking about, QuickBooks, Xero, NetSuite, etc. Right? Three, they need you to be conversant with IFRS or GAAP principles, even if it's just demonstrable knowledge or working knowledge, right? And then four, ACCA or CPA, because that then gives you, it gives a recruiter some sense of safety, that someone, you've actually gone through this outside certifying body and you're actually certified. So yeah, those four never misses.
The other question is by Lucy Ocheng. Lucy Ocheng is asking, what tips can you give for somebody to stand out during applications and interviews?
I think we've kind of, I feel like we've talked about that, but one, HS-friendly CV. Two, LinkedIn optimization, right? Three, your introductory video, and in your introductory video, let your personality come through. Let them see the fire in your eyes. Let them hear passion in your voice. Like, why do you want to work with that, right? Yeah, it's uncomfortable, guys, but it gets easier. So it's just like you being yourself. So why are you passionate about your career path? Yeah. And then what was the fourth one? Yeah, so just your communication skills and how you enunciate your words. Make sure that you are clear. I'm not saying that now you go get yourself an accent, but make sure that when you communicate, Yeah, when you're communicating, you are clear, you can be understood, words are actually coming out clearly out of your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling students of Jomo Kenyatta that sometimes it's not the technical skills that can give you the job. It is your enthusiasm, your zeal for the job. It is not that, oh, I want this job so that I can pay bills. It is, are you driven? Are you driven? Is that energy has to come out.
Mhm.
There are so many things recruiters look beyond the right answers. That is
Yeah.
true. Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like we as recruiters give people, cheat sheets. Like in the job advert, what I usually advise my clients is that have a look at the job advert. What is the language used? Are they serious? Are they playful? When you look at the company website, case in point, if you're to go right now to Superside is a very playful company, right? Because it's in the creative industry. So if you're to go there with your all serious face and we talk as a Jew where you're not going to gel, you're going to have like a misalignment with the company culture. So they're cheat sheets. So have a look at the website, have a look at the job advert. What is the language that they have used? And then just align yourself with that. Yeah.
Talk about, do you sign a contract? What are the tax implications for this?
Oh, yes. You actually sign contracts, right? So no one should work without signing a contract. You do it virtually. When it comes to tax, then because they don't have, they're not incorporated in, let's say, Kenya. Yeah, so they don't have any legal obligation to carry. So then tax becomes self-declaration. Yeah. Unless you're working, let's say, in the country where they have been incorporated, then they will take on, paying taxes for you. And that's why they actually hire all of us as independent contractors, so that, they kind of separate from any litigation when it comes to that. So you take care of your own taxes as an independent contractor. And what you can do is, one, get yourself a really good accountant. There was an accountant here, so akona kazi tayari. Get yourself a good accountant.
Adam, you can give your number there so that people can start consulting you.
Exactly. One, get yourself a really good accountant. Two, you want to register, or what I did is that you want to register a company so that you pay 5%, what is it called? 5% tax rather than paying right now, if you got 35, 40, yes, rather than paying the full 35% pay. Yes.
There's a question from Monica. She's asking, with communication being a key skill, doesn't this push out people who have heavy
accent?
Matamshi. Actually, before even Lorraine responds, I was in an interview assistance undertaking 2 days ago, and yeah, I don't know what Lorraine is going to say. Sometimes it can cause you problems. There's a lady who had a problem with pronouncing the L and R, and the client, they were saying that I end, who can easily be put off by, work on it. You're welcome, Lorraine, to give your talk, your perspective.
It's actually, that's why I said you need to work on how you enunciate your words, right? It's actually, it's the sad reality on the ground. It's a good thing that, us Kenyans have more of a neutral accent, but still, the heavy accents, right? So you absolutely have to work on it, especially if you're going to be, customer facing. Yeah, definitely have to work on it. People have actually not proceeded further just because of that. Yeah. And I really don't know, if you were to ask me, how can you do that? I can't offer you accent reduction classes. So it's just, go out there. I really do, just work on it, watch movies. I really don't know how to do that.
On the accent issue, actually, you'll be surprised that you might both be speaking English, but it's totally different. Like, I find it hard understanding Nigerians at this side. And what I was advised is you could still do some accent lessons, but now the problem is in Kenya, you wouldn't find such a service where they teach you how to sound in a certain way. But most multinationals, you'll find if you're there, not remotely, but maybe physically, then you would want to do such trainings just to improve on your English. So you learn English, but still go and learn how to speak English in the American accent or accent. Yeah.
So I've put actually an app. It's called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Pimsleur something. Yeah. So use that. They actually they help you how to pronounce, stuff. So you start from Abukode, but it helps.
And I also help people to speak well, to articulate. So you don't have to go very far. If you want public speaking skills, I am here to help you. You can get in touch. Or whoever is looking for that able accountant, Adam, I don't know if you will be able to share your number. Before we give you the chance, Lorraine, to give your parting shots, we would like to say that our good friend has decided to audit or do an analysis of your CVs. So we will give you, what is it I want to say? We'll give you a chance so that you can send us your CV, or you send to her directly so that she can be able to, not editing. It is auditing, looking at your CV, whether it is a good one. It will stop there. It doesn't go to now requisition here, requisition. It is just assessing that your CV is ready for a particular role. Yes, so this is what you can do. From there, you can decide whether you want to edit it. The other thing that we want to do is, Osea, remind me, there was another, we were going to give a present to somebody. Who is it?
Okay, we'll recognize the first people who came in. So we'll buy you a cup of coffee at Cafe. Just the first person. I think the first person we talked to was Cherono. Victoria. Victoria was in first. So expect an e-voucher from us via the email you shared.
That's the enthusiasm that we're talking about.
Yes. So expect an e-voucher in your email. I'll go with the email address you shared with us. So thank you very much for being punctual and also anticipating this training. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hosea.
Maybe one more thing, of course, certificates will also issue the certificates. They'll get to your mail. As we said, since we are remote, it's digital certificates as well. So you'll find them on your email. If you didn't key in your names correctly, just email me. I believe you have my email. Just email me so that you tell me what names do you want to appear on your certificate. As well, I'll share also any other information that you need, including our profile.
Thank you so much, Hosea. Thank you so much, our presenter, as you prepare for your parting shots. What is your parting shot?
Remote work is possible. Yeah, I think when we started this last year, it was more of a Lorraine thing, because I've worked remotely. But if you can go check out our success stories on YouTube. We've actually helped a number of people who are now working remotely and they're earning in foreign currency. And when you actually look at the common theme in all the stories, you're going to find those are the people who actually land jobs and the ones who keep on sending out applications, just having that grit of pushing forward and forward and forward. It's not an easy journey because, again, competition is global, right? You think you're really good, there's someone who is better than you. But when you keep at it and you really want it, it is doable, and you can land yourself a remote opportunity. So follow us on all our social media platforms. We are a social media company, remote company. So follow us on all our social media platforms. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on X, literally everywhere as Beyond the Savannah. Yes, including Instagram. So Beyond the Savannah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Beverly, you've raised up your hand, and the other gentleman whose name I may not be able to say, I'll you know who I'm talking about. You have a question or you want to say something? You've raised up your hand.
I think probably Brenda's was a mistake. Brenda? And
okay.
I think it's Jamak.
Sorry, for me it was the emojis and she answered. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Richard email. That is, you want
Yeah.
Richard's email? So I think what I can do, Richard, you've shared it, but I'll still do like a document and send you all the details in your email together with the certificate. Lorraine, where should they send CVs?
info@beyondthesavannah.co.ke. If you were to go to our website, our email is also there. Yeah? Our website is beyondthesavannah.co.ke. So our email is there as well. Just send your CV there, and yeah, we will respond to you.
Okay. Then maybe the last thing, we have the feedback form there. Kindly take a moment to just give a feel of how the session went. And we are looking forward to getting some feedback from you as well.
Very, very, very good. Hello, I've given a friend of mine your number. He wants you to talk to his daughter. So when he calls you, don't ask who gave you my number. He's a very good friend. He is going to call you. So this has been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. I am sure you've picked something that can help you land that remote job. You've been equipped with the tips that you need so that you can be able to become the candidates that is going to be baked in those dollars. All right. This has been your host, Richard J. Magoma, with Hosea and Beverly, who also assist us in marketing our programs. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. See you next month.